Okay, well, Nigel, let's do a quick recap on how the squad's looking. Alex got a smash to the face. Is he okay for the weekend?
He'll be fine. Yeah, no problem with him. We've got plenty of players getting closer to fitness. Even Tomas, who's had a small procedure, he'll be able to maybe train. I won't consider him for any of the games, but he should be getting close to fitness by the end of the season. So yeah, we're okay. Yeah, we've got a lot
players
coming
being
back.
players, I mean, good to what you're saying about Thomas there, but they're always desperate to be involved, whether it's one game left of the season or 20, aren't they?
Yeah, but he won't be, basically. And he needs to carry on with his recovery over a longer sustained period of time. So we will. There'll be players who miss out on the matchday squad based on various decisions. Whether they're fit. I mean, I want to win the games if we can, win them both. And there'll be a few disappointed players, but it's how it is. It's nice to get some competition, and we're moving in the right direction. Yeah.
It certainly has been the last couple of weeks, and obviously you want to win any game you play. Is there any part of you that's thinking, I need to have a look at this player, whether a youngster or whether somebody you're not quite made your mind up on?
I'm not. No, I've made my mind up on everybody really. So I'm not gonna lie on that part. There'll be some conversations over. I've had conversations already with some players so that they know where they stand, whether they're going to be here or not, or if they're outside of the plans. They'll, at least they'll be aware of that before the season finishes, so that they can act accordingly. That's just how it needs to be.
And obviously that news will come out in the fullness of time, but would you expect a very different looking team on the first day of next season than the one that's going to be finishing this campaign?
I expect the blend of the squad to be different. Whether the team will be different is another thing, but there'll be changes. The rate of change will depend on a lot of things, but I don't think today is really a day to be talking too much about the summer plans. They'll take shape in the time frame that it's possible to make those changes, and of course some of it will depend on players moving on themselves. Some players who are out of contract, their situation's slightly different, but there'll be a mixture. But of course there are players who, you look at Jay Silva's situation, who before Christmas, around November time, his situation looked very different to what it does now. So that's football, and it's down to how people approach the challenge themselves, how individuals are prepared to meet challenges or not.
So Saturday is obviously the final home game of the season. Looking at your home form in particular, it's been streaky, hasn't it? You've had some really good runs, and some way you'll have been a bit frustrated. How would you look at it over the course of this season?
Streaky, I don't know whether to use that word. We've played well in some games and not won them. We've had a good run of wins. Even recently, some of our performances have been very good. Results haven't been what we want, but your choice of word, not mine. It's been inconsistent with the results, but I tend to look at it in a bit of a different way to what you do.
Okay. Well, I'm interested because you're obviously trying to change a fair bit. Whether it's on the pitch or what's happening around the club, and it can take a while for those changes to show through. Are you seeing whether it's the underlying things, or are you seeing the kind of momentum you would want, that you think, okay, well, next season or in the coming time, there'll be that acceleration of results coming the way that you would like on the back of those performances?
I hope so. Look, the results are how external people and quite a few internal people too will want to measure where we are. But yeah, I mean the complexities of what the job are really probably not to a subject that many people want to hear too much about. Our fan base support the team. They want to see a committed side. They want to see a team that wins. So clearly we have improvements to make in that regard. But outside of that, I think there's been some positive steps, but it's still there's still lots of work to do, and I'm a part of that. I'm just a part of that. Rate of change will always be something which is open for debate, depending on where you stand. I mean, things are changing at the training ground at the moment. We're already, things are working already towards next season. The pitches have been being renovated, so all things like that. It's about getting the environment right. It's about getting trying to develop the squad. It's about trying to develop the internal culture into a one where there is accountability and people want to be involved in a winning culture. The ground staff are working very hard now. They probably won't see it like this year. My hair's changed. I've gone very grey this year, so my badger look, when I'm looking for golf balls in the morning, I won't be finding too many because all the work's being done over there on the golf course, and on our training pitches.
Yeah.
Change happens. Even the clover's gone. Now we've got really nice grass over there. So lots of things change. And look, the bigger picture. I mean, we've had guests at the training ground today. We've had the end of season awards from the supporters club. So nice to invite people down here who can judge for themselves how the place feels. Similar people, or the same people who came last year at the end of the season, and it's always interesting to hear how people like that, who are fans of the club, see how the club develops. But those are conversations for you to have. I can't speak for everybody. All I can say is that there's a lot of hard work being done here behind the scenes to get to a point where we can make sustainable progress. That's what it's about. The overall situation that we're in is one which has had plenty of space in the written media. No doubt you talk about it yourself in terms of over the airwaves as well. But that doesn't stop us from trying to work towards what is the right solution for us as a football club. What we want is success. We want it to be sustainable, and we're moving in a different direction. But I haven't got time in a press conference to tell you everything that's going on. But all I can say is that there is a lot of hard work being done on lots of different levels to try and achieve that. But ultimately, going back to the original question and the original thing about progress, yes, we'd all like to win more games. We'd like to be higher up the league, but I believe we will be.
So you mentioned culture there. How would you say that culture is different today from first week of the season, for example?
Oh, I can't make that. I have to, at the end of the season, take time to reflect on things in a more balanced way. At the moment, my priority is about trying to make sure that preparation for games is still right. The work going on in terms of how we shape the squad moving forward is a plate that's being spun in the background, but it will very soon be at the forefront of it. But that's not to say that there's lots of work being done. But still, at the moment, my priority is to make sure that the final 2 weekends of the season we get performances which give us the chance to move into next year off the back of a decent end to the season. So we've had, all right, Peterborough wasn't the best performance, but we didn't lose it either, and they've had a right good push. So we've had 4 games where we've been able to pick points up. We've got 2 more opportunities. We want to beat Hull because they're below us and we can't make a lot of headway up the league in terms of positional, but we can try and accumulate as many points as possible, and so that's the target for the rest of the season.
And so on Hull, is it more important to make any difference that it's the final home games, the final chance to send those home fans back with a positive memory?
Well, the win would be nice. I think the win would be something which people would enjoy, but I'm no fool. They've since the new guy's been in there, 7 games, 7 goals conceded. They've been a lot tighter. They want to win the game for their own reasons. It's not players' swan songs, or it's not players' chance to say goodbye to everybody for the season in a flamboyant way. First and foremost, we go out there and try and win the game. I don't care what stage of the season. The points that you drop on the first day are as important as the points that you drop on the last day or the penultimate day. So I don't think of it like that. This is a game, we want to win it, full stop.
Fair enough. Good luck on Saturday.
Okay, cheers, Tom.
Thank you, Nigel.
Hi, Nigel.
Hey, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I just wanted to ask you about the end of this season in comparison to last season and
I've erased that from my memory for the most part.
I don't blame you, to be honest with you. But what can that do in terms of building a kind of winning mentality and momentum going into the summer?
Different, right? Okay, so we didn't make many signings last year, but it's a completely different squad, and that means the players that are still here, different squad. Changes in the backroom staff, changes in how we operate, changes from an operational sense in terms of the training facilities operation. There's lots of things that change. I can't quantify them all, but hopefully they're all changes which can add a different dimension to how we basically conduct our business on a daily basis, and hopefully how we can become a stronger force in this division. But to quantify it, I can't do that in a press conference. It would take. Well, I've not had a chance to reflect on it all myself, so I'm hardly going to go into any detail. But sometimes there's subtle changes. Sometimes there are frustratingly stubborn situations that don't move forward. But it's about the people. This is a building, so it's a nice place, but it's a building. It's actually shaped by the people who occupy it, and that's players and staff.
But in regards to the results that you've picked up in the last few games, how much momentum does that give, though, going into the summer and into next season?
Don't know. It depends on whether we win the last 2.
Yeah.
So your stance in terms of being and your job as a reporter, no doubt, is to try and pick up on how the fans feel, and then shape your questions in the next press conference based on that. So, I listened to you asked me a question about momentum, and I smile inwardly because there's a part of me that goes, yeah, you got short memories yourself. So my job is to try and keep on an even keel, which is difficult, even for somebody with my experience, and especially when the emotion of match days, from fans' perspectives, from everybody included with the club, have something to say or feel about it, which is how it always is and how it should be in many ways. But I have to be a little bit, not aloof from that, but I have to think on a different level too. So I have to be able to, as well as not me, just all of the staff. We have some very important staff here who will be doing the same thing, strategic planning and making sure that the work goes that goes on behind the scenes allows us to finish the season and start the next one in the best possible manner. But of course,
there's been an extra emphasis on asking the players to play with a bit more enjoyment in the football over the last few games. And
hey, look, hang on. Anybody who plays football should play it because they like it or enjoy it. But of course, it's not always like that. We've got some real odd characters in the game,
Sure.
and the game's changed. You know, with the financial side of it and the high level of intrusiveness, the higher you go in the industry, there's a detachment, I think, or there can be from how the paying public interact with the players that they support and love, and the clubs that they support and love. So, you know, I can't give you a sweeping statement or an easy answer to it. It's just I concentrate on this job here because that's where I am. You know, football outside of here, I have opinions on, but I haven't got time to talk about them because I've got too much to do here, as have everybody who works here. We've all got a job to do.
Sure. You mentioned that a couple of the players will be disappointed to be left out of the squad over the last couple of games. I just wanted to get an update on the current situation with Cam Pring at the moment. He's had a good season.
Yeah, he's had a really good season. A good breakthrough season in the Championship. But, you know, and he will have learnt a lot. Whether he's included in the last two squads is irrelevant. He's had a good season and he's contributed well. He's had some tough times too. You know, he's made mistakes, but don't all players. So I always read with interest the conspiracies and the thoughts about what's happening to these players. Nothing. The decisions that are made, whether they're included or not, are based on whether they will get into the side. If they don't start it, the bench is never picked to keep people happy. It's to give balance to any changes that we might have to make. So I'm afraid it's tough for players who miss out. They've got to get used to it, and they've also got to make sure that their motivation is to do everything that they can on a daily basis when they're trained to make sure that they're in there. So the days have gone, whether that's here or anywhere else, where players make assumptions that they started last week and they might not be on the bench, or they might not be on the bench this week. It's nothing personal sometimes. It's just it might be sometimes, but not all the time. Most of the time it's about what the team needs. So quite frankly, they've either got to get on with it or they better find somewhere else to go and play because it ain't going to be here.
It's just a case then of giving other players the opportunity, the likes of Sam Bellens and...
Yeah, it'd be nice to, but we want to win the games. But I've got every confidence in people like Sam Bell. Eamon Benarous over the last two games has been outstanding as far as I'm concerned. You know, going on as a sub was difficult in a position. I think we did excellent, really well. I thought he was excellent last week at Derby. He got booked so early, but still had the wherewithal and the game understanding to be able to manage it. So we had him and Joe Williams booked within the first 15 minutes, and it's a potential banana skin for the team because it could stop us from winning the game. But they both played with some control after that, which was very important for us, and it was great to get Duncan on. And that, by the way, putting Duncan on is not a... the spin-off is we find out whether a youngster's able to deal with it, and I thought he dealt with it very well. But for instance, he would have got the nod there over Pringy last week. That's just how it is. And as I've already pointed out, Pringy's had some of his best games for us when he's been on the front foot, either as a winger, as he started the season, as a wing back sometimes, and he's had to fill in at centre back. But there's nothing sinister going on when players are missing. It's just life, I'm afraid.
It's a competition, sure. And we spoke a lot about the improvement of Andy Weimann's finishing over the course of this season. We get the feeling that if Antoine Semenyo can kind of show be a bit more clinical in front of goal, then he can be topping those championship scoring charts. The amount of chances that he does he does get in a game. I mean,
and he creates himself. Right,
Yeah.
hang on. You mentioned, did you mention last year, or did somebody's mentioned it already today? Was it Ed or you, about comparing last season to this? I remember being told that our fans were celebrating getting a corner or having a shot in the game last year. And now we're talking about if it becomes more clinical and and Andy Weimann's finishing's improve. Well, actually, Andy Weimann's getting chances, and we're creating chances, and he's making chances, and so is Antoine. So we as a team are starting to, our front three are as good as anything in the league. And yet I've heard so much over the course of this season how important it is to get a new striker, and I'm thinking, when Wayne Rooney's saying after the game, your front three are as good as anything in the league, and where he's played as a forward, don't look any further than that. Sometimes it's easy to overlook what you've already got.
Sure. Does it not? I guess frustrates not kind of the right word to use, but when Semenyo does get so many chances, and
strikers are paid to score, but they're also good strikers aren't afraid of missing. Right, and if you watch games closely, you'll see some players bottle it and won't even get to a position of having a finish. So, listen, wherever Antoine's getting into those positions, he's a young man. He's made great progress this season, as have many players. And, all right, goals, yeah. How many has he got? 7. He could have had a hat-trick at the weekend. He knows that. I know that. Why berate him for that? Keeps getting there, keeps creating chances. He's assisting a lot, so I try not to fall into the trap of going down the negative route of, we scored, we won 3-1 away. Yeah, but we should have won 5. Yeah, right, shut up. Look, it's dead easy to look at what needs to be fixed. The player knows himself. There's nobody more disappointed than Antoine that he didn't score at least 2.
Yeah.
But that's what we want. We want hungry players who want to score goals. You've got somebody like Chris Martin, who didn't get the chances last week, but what a ball for Andy's. What a great bit of play by Antoine to receive it in his own half turn, play a great ball which doesn't need controlling by Chris, and he just turns it around the corner in 1. And Andy's running from the position he likes to play in and scores. It's a great goal, but it's a great goal. But then people say, it's a simple goal. No, it's not. It's the hardest thing to play in that fashion and score a really good goal. So, we are the chance that Antoine finished was probably the hardest one of the lot, but he scored it. So, we've let's look at what the positives are and try and work at trying to make the positives even better, and that's my take on it. And I don't buy into all this negativity or way of looking at things where we played well but there's still this. We know that. Of course we do. We're not complacent.
I want to pick up something you mentioned to Ed about some players maybe having to find a way out in the summer, the ones that aren't able to get in the team. Will there be a difficulty with some of them with the wages that they're on, that it will be a difficulty in offloading them this summer?
I'm not offloading them. I'm telling them where they sit. Not my job to offload them. So look, players can either stay and fight for the places, and look, don't make assumptions of who I'm talking about. They won't be the players that you think half the time. So don't start speculating on individuals. A lot of the players who've not featured very much this year, not their fault they're on the money they're on. Good luck to them. Yeah. We put them on the money, and they're earning that money. So that's never blame players for earning good money. Why not? But what I would say is, I'm looking at it from a picture of how we can be a squad with a more even wage structure, and that's what we want as a football club, to have a more even wage structure. But there will be outliers in that for 2 or 3 years yet, and I'm 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, doesn't matter. Those players, if they're here, they'll be treated like everybody else, and they'll be expected to fight for the places. And those players, I mean, I look at somebody like Naki Wells this year, has been brilliant. How he's kept himself going, but you watch him train, wow, different class, really good. And I know that when he's required, he'll go out and do the job that we want him to do. But he wants to play regularly. But he's here next year, and if he's here, I'm really happy to have him. Really happy to have him. So, you know, if he was one of the players that you're thinking of in that, don't speculate about him. I'm really pleased that we've got him. What I can't do is I can't promise him more chances next year, because it's not about you know, judging players by how much they get paid. It's what's best for the team, and I'll keep reiterating that. I don't care whether a player earns absolutely minimal wages compared to his squad, the rest of his squad. If he's the best selection for any given day, he'll play. So,
yeah.
But then from the other side of where we need to find a greater level of equality as a club is, we need to introduce, and we are doing it. You know, it's not. I'm not preaching it. It's something that we as a club have decided needs to be done. It's we know that we need to make changes, but it will take 1, 2, 3 years to do that, just because of how long people's contracts last for, and as you've already talked about, it might be difficult to move people. Well, so what? If it's difficult, we'll hang on to them. But what it does, it slows down the process, and the market will be pretty unknown quantity again. But the business that we do this summer will be in line with what we are trying to do moving forward. So part of my job is to manage the expectations of our fan base, who, you know, look, even if all of a sudden 10 or 12 million pounds became available to spend, but we didn't think that the players who were being pushed in our direction were value for money, I wouldn't take them. Yeah. You know, I'm not, and we're not going to sign players who are, you know, we don't want marquee buys, or we don't want players who are going to sit outside of the structure now. We're not doing that.
Well, I guess there's more pressure now than there has been in previous years of getting the right players in and not making.
No, the pressure's always the same. The pressure's always the same. If you take your job, if you want to build sides, you build sides. You don't put players in to fill holes for quick fixes, and I don't work like that. Never have done. So I'm not going to start now, and I can't start now anyway because I don't want to. And the circumstances don't dictate that.
There was reports this week suggesting that you're at Oxford watching Elliot Moore. Can you clarify that at all? Or
I was at Oxford watching Oxford versus MK Dons.
Okay.
I've had Elliot Moore at Leicester, and I had him at OHL.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I go and watch him in a game there if I was just going to watch Elliot? He's a good lad. He's doing well at the level he's playing. Who I'm looking at is nothing to do with you, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Two decent sides with a number of players in there who may or may not be able to make the step up. Mm-hmm. So the watching brief for that was me and Kurt decided just to go and have a look at 1 or 2 players who we've been viewing over a period of time, and Elliot wasn't one of them, as it happens, but it doesn't matter. I'm allowed to go to games from time to time.
Of course, yeah, especially Oxford. Cheers, Nigel.
Why especially Oxford?
Yeah. Well, Oxford, it's not. Oxford MK Dons isn't the one for the neutrals, I'd imagine.
Oh, you're changing your tack now, aren't you? Good luck. Go on.
Hi, Nigel.
All right.
Hope you're well. Alex Scott is going to be up soon. It looks like there'll be in the.
It's going to be what? Sorry.
The under-19 championships are going to be this summer. So a player of Alex Scott, 18 years old.
Yeah.
Do you have to be careful about his minutes? Are you going to have words with England? I know it's looking forward, but
I'm not interfering with his international career. Look, I'll let people with a bit more knowledge about those things talk to the England staff about that. I have a lot of high regard for any player representing his country. So it's just a part and parcel of dealing with good players. They're going to play international football. So Alex has had a great season for us, and he'll go and play his football, and we'll just tailor-make then his preparation for next season based on that. But of course there is an element of burnout for all players, but especially young players and older players. So no, he goes with our best wishes as always, and we'll manage the situation.
And about conversations with players, Taylor Moore said that he wants to speak to Bristol City.
I've spoken to him. I've spoken to him, so he knows where he stands with me. So he knows that.
Mm. And one player who's been in full training that hasn't been part of the matchday squad is Callum O'Dowd. Is it anything in regards to an injury coming back again, or is it just a case of competition in the squad?
No. Again, I think I've already made enough comments about players who may be fit or coming back from fitness, and if they're not included, it's for a variety of reasons. But I'm not going to start. There's no favouritism as far as I'm concerned with players are selected for the fact that they can do something for the team, and players will also be informed on a personal level as to where they sit, but that's not one for necessarily for the public forum until it's appropriate.
And then just lastly as well, the EFL Awards were on Sunday. Weimann didn't get nominated, wasn't in the team of the season. Does it matter as such, because he still had a good season as well? And as well as
no, he hasn't had a good season. He's had an absolutely outstanding season. And the context is he's playing in a side, so we've got a front three, a strike force that have scored. When we look at how we put together targets for the squad, have scored 124% of what we expected to. So, and there's 2 games left. Our strike force has been potent to score as many goals as we have and be where we are in the league. I think it speaks for itself in many ways of where we need to be. Andy Weimann has had an absolutely incredibly outstanding season for us. How people pick awards, it doesn't matter. I'm not bothered.
Thank you, Nigel.
Okay, cheers.